the artist had in mind when he made that, but somebody else is already clearly thinking in terms of the computer that can reside in the skull as a replacement for the brain. Okay, so what would it take to bring all this about? How are things converging? Do we get to a point where we have what we need to enable the biodroid? Well, starting with things like electric vehicles and the batteries that they've enabled, industrial robots becoming more and more autonomous and in forms like more and more human-like. We're getting to the point where we'll be able to meet something that could really pass what we traditionally think of as an Android body. Meanwhile, smartphones are using things like natural language interfaces to enable things that are more like brains in terms of AI. Wi-Fi lets us access the cloud and even greater power. Wireless charging allows brains to become packed and still powerful. Meanwhile, over the biological side, in vitro fertilization led to both gene editing, which led to cloning, and defect screening, which is what will enable us to make those candidates of lab animals if we want to, as well as the so-called humanized lab animals, already happening. That's being supported by research developed to help premature infants, and that's why I might lead to artificial womb that could be used for humans. We're already cloning pets. It's one more step to clone people, to make them customized genetically. And if you do that, you can make the encephalic version needed to be a replacement body, which would be an enabler, along with the so-called DARPA interface, as soon as we can interface the brain to the body. And initially for the brain carrier idea as a first form of quasi-immortality, but in turn, something more like the Bio-Droid. And at that point, there's nothing left that needs to be invented. So this is what strikes me, is that all these other things are going on and they're being pursued by technologies, or by technologists in companies that don't have the Bio-Droid idea as their end state. It's not what they're planning to go to. It's not even the long-range vision of any of these companies, but at some point, when all these things are invented, somebody's gonna wake up and realize, hey, you guys, we took our thing and combined it with their thing, and their thing that they just perfected, we could put those things together and make a whole new thing, whole new product line, a whole new industry. And when that happens, I think society will kind of look up and think, what the hell did this happen? And when they do, all the technologists involved will be able to proclaim their innocence. Oh, we weren't trying to do bio-droids, we were just working out our own thing here. We were trying to help soldiers walk again. We were trying to help fight genetic defects. We were trying to make computers more able to speak with us naturally. We were trying to help people resurrect their beloved pets. We were just trying to make androids that could work in dangerous environments. We were just trying to do these other things and to offer quasi-immortality, which everybody said they wanted. Right? And society will have supported all these things and embraced them and funded them generously. Then that last piece just kind of falls into place almost all by itself. It doesn't matter if anybody's planning to do it. Things, technologically, the way things work is that they just kind of happen when they become possible. 30 blocks on there, 17 of those are already done. At least 7 more of the remaining are being worked on today that I know of. So, eventually we'll find ourselves in a world where some look like this and some look like that. What's inside is all that matters. We are our brains. These are people. These are things. These have rights. These are property. And eventually, if all this comes to pass, they'll all be existing at the same time, in the same public spaces, all walking on the same sidewalks. And I don't know how the hell we're going to tell who's who or what's what. So how do you distinguish? Well, would Bio-Droid have like a socket or something in the back to plug in to access the computer? Every science fiction depiction I've ever seen of androids has a scene where the android's sitting in a laboratory and there's a big cable plugged in with skulls in place and there's a technician over there doing something, right? But ask yourself, why would you ever actually need to plug a cable into an android? I can only think of 2 reasons, to transfer data or transfer power, like if you need to charge up something. But do we really need cables to transfer data nowadays? Not even high volumes of data. And as for power, don't we have these kinds of things? And so if you had a Bio-Droid person, I'll say for lack of a better term, and if they have a computer in here with a battery that need to be recharged every day, couldn't you just put one of those under the pillow while they sleep at night? What about marking? Could you make them put a marking on these things, or maybe put a different kind of marking for real people so we can tell them apart? I'd like that, and you can try that, but I've been unable to think of any way of doing that that would really be foolproof, something that couldn't be altered or concealed or forged or something. Why would anyone want to do that? To deceive others, like for committing some kind of fraud or other crime, probably. What about my behavior? Well, if the bodies look the same, if they don't move the same, if they're talking naturally, there's not a lot left. You might try to discern them by the way they talk or the things they say. I've always seen androids depicted in science fiction as speaking correctly, politely, using good syntax and clear diction and so forth. But if, in the name of realism, if we wanted to, we could mess up any of that stuff with software, just to make them more realistic, and that might happen. Well, you can always force them to stick their freaking head in an X-ray machine or something. You need to verify whether something's real or not. But the human brain can't take being X-rayed all the time. And considering how many times in your daily life you have to verify your identity for one transaction or another, we need something practical. Now, MRI machines, as far as I know, are harmless, but they're also very big and expensive. And it takes a lot of work to get them to where they can be ubiquitous enough that you can use them frequently throughout your life. And why does this matter? Well, at least one particularly practical reason: we need to be able to take a census every once in a while and need to know who's who and who's real. And at the time, we're going to have to learn that we're counting brains, not bodies. And why does the census matter? Well, for at least one reason. Congressional representation is based on that, so there's at least one practical reason to do that. Now, even if that comes about, you're not going to be able to carry an MRI machine around with you all the time to verify who it is that you're dealing with, so you're going to be stuck in a situation where we'll be obliged to treat all the people we run into as if they were real people, knowing full well that quite a lot of them really may not be. So we'll have to treat them with respect and courtesy just like we would a person. Is there anything wrong with that? If we're forced to show more courtesy than we technically need to? Well, I actually think there is, but to explain why will take more time than I really have today, so I may have to put that off to a future talk. In the meantime, I'll just say that I kind of like the attitude that Han Solo always had in Star Wars movies, but it's kept a very clear distinction between the Bio-Droids and real people, and I think that's the right attitude. Let me point out something else that technology has done with us in recent years. Think of how many things you've bought and services you've subscribed to that are based on a pitch that involves something like, have it your way. You can customize, we'll do your favorite. You no longer have to settle for someone else's choice is. Take it with you, have it with you all the time. All this is teaching us to be very, very picky, frankly. Technology isn't just catering to us, it's frankly pandering to us and encouraging us to be extremely, frankly, self-centered, where we have, you can hear the term on demand, demand only the music you like, or the videos or whatever. So if you're sitting in a restaurant and you like the background music they're playing, you just pull up your phone and some earbuds. Now you can listen to exactly the music you like, very most, all the time, if that's what you really want. So it's encouraging us to, frankly, become impatient or even intolerant of things that are not exactly the way we like. For now, we're just talking about devices, but what's it going to be like when we're able to do the same thing with people? Because they're not really people, they're programmable, they're customizable. We'll become less and less tolerant of real people when we have to deal with them, when we prefer this alternative that technology offers us. We'll be kind of replacing people in our lives more and more. Well, we're already at the point where people are kind of getting that attitude. Even with simple devices, you probably know some people who kind of prefer the game consoles to dealing with real people. It'll be a lot worse when we have the ability to order up people to make, to suit our taste, tailored to be whatever we want, both appearance and behavior. So at some point we'll start wondering, what do we really need real people for anymore? Bio-Droids will have that same quasi-immortality because their bodies will be replaceable with clones, but their minds will be even more immortal than ours because there'll be no problem with their generating senility or anything. So they'll be at least as durable as us. And at some point you start wondering, well, if they're that good, if people are using them and owning them, having them in their homes, and they're virtually like people, at some point will they want them instead of ever bothering to get married? Now, I'm not talking about marrying a Bio-Droid. That would not be possible because they're not legally people. So technically you couldn't marry one, but that's just a technicality. They can still fulfill all those same functions in every way that matters. And so what that offers you is that you'll have someone, you could buy someone who looks exactly the way you want, whoever your ideal is programmed to like the same things you do, like the music you like the food you like, watch whatever you want to watch on TV, never nags you, doesn't give you hassle about your bad habits, laughs all your dumb jokes, tells you you're brilliant, dresses the way you want, lets you dress the way you want, and basically, and also they can come with in-laws. I mean, what's not like? So this, I think, can be a very powerful change in society. But we're talking about using these artificial replacements for our most personal roles that we play in each other's lives. And at some point, are we going to be able to compete with one another or with Bio-Droids for these roles? Will we even miss one another as we become more self-centered and intolerant and probably more rude just because we can be? So when real people do run into one another, are they going to say, hey, are you like a real person? Wow, can I have like a real conversation with you for once? I haven't had a real conversation in days. I've just been surrounded by your toys. Can we get together? Let's have lunch. Does anyone else in the neighborhood like to do this? Can we get together for like a weekly dinner or something where we just us talk and everybody has to be buying their droids at home, and can we just do that, please? Or maybe when we run into other real people, we'll find that they've become just as rude and obnoxious as we have become. And we can't wait to get away from them, get back to the comfort of our own homes, or surrounded with nothing but these creatures, all who like us just the way we are, no matter how horrible that might be. Well, how people will react, I suppose, will depend on the person. So decide for yourself how optimistic to be. But where are we going toward on all this? It seems like we're almost on a path to put ourselves out of business as a species. It's a long ways off, but we're clearly on that path and going rather quickly. We've already got a demographic problem that I referred to in an earlier talk, in which the world's population is projected to peak and begin declining in just about 30 years or so. In the past, we might have welcomed this when people used to worry about overpopulation, but not anymore. World leaders around the world are really concerned that this is a looming threat to them, because they recognize declining population as being something that will also be a decline in their economies and their power, and they're looking, rather frankly, for something to do about it. It's a complex phenomenon, not well understood, and so they've not been having a lot of success so far. But it's already very advanced in countries like Russia and Japan as their countries age. West Europe is not much better, and we're not a whole lot further behind. So it seems like we're pushing ourselves toward a future in which these droid creations might sort of coddle us to death. By which I mean that they are not doing anything against us, not doing anything to hurt us, but they're just meeting our needs so perfectly, so completely, that we have no use anymore for each other, or can't be bothered to make the sacrifices needed to procreate, and to even have a sacrifice of being married to someone. As this happens, as we continue living with them instead of with each other, it's bound to just get worse and worse. Now, with the quasi-immortality, we might still live a long time, and we might not see a drop-off in population very quickly, but at some point, our centuries-old brains are going to give up the ghost, and what are we going to leave behind? Maybe very little. So what are we really after in all this? As I ask myself this question, I kept coming back to just one thing. That I think it's kind of the quest for a perfection that we know we can never attain in ourselves. This is what we seem to be after in our creations. Consider, for example, the continuing popularity of the superhero movies and so forth, and the idea of having extra powers and superhuman abilities beyond what we know we can ever have in reality. Now, we'll keep working technologically to improve real people as well. Cyborg kinds of enhancements and genetic engineering and so forth. We'll probably do a lot with that, but it seems we'll be in a losing race with these other creations of ours, created, custom made, according to exactly whatever our ideals are, from the ground up, gene by gene, circuit by circuit, bit by bit. How are we really going to compete with that in the end? We will come to like and admire our creations more than we do ourselves. And so this is what ultimately comes down to, ourselves versus our ideas of perfection. What we need each other for in a world like this that we have created. For now, we tend to identify ourselves in terms of our practical uses, engineer, lawyer, teacher, whatever. But as AI and robots relentlessly strip away more and more of these practical roles from us, what's going to be left when there's nothing left that we haven't made ourselves obsolete in through these creations of ours? Well, it goes back to those characteristics I mentioned before. If the bio-droids have better bodies, or at least as good as ours, and the androids have better brains than ours, what's left? It's just this stuff. what I earlier referred to as the esoteric qualities. So after we've taken away all the practical stuff that we usually care about, is there going to be anything left there that really matters enough to convince us to continue having kids and to just sustain the species? Well, there better be something we find in there. That's going to be about all there's left. And you have to ask yourself what perfection even means, and what might perfection mean in these qualities. So that's going to be the main thing that we have left to offer. And it comes down to what about being human really matters. I say this as an engineer. I usually have no use for this kind of thing. I'm not somebody's into this touchy-feely stuff. And back in school, this would have all been over philosophy at Harvard, and I never went near there. I wouldn't even take an elective in that place. But when I think through the technologies, the economics, the politics, and everything else I can think of, this is what I'm left with. And I'm out of time, so I'll wrap up just in time. Next year, I hope to be back with another talk about something, hopefully not so creepy, but something I hope will be thought-provoking. So until then, thank you very much for your time, everyone.